It is August the 9th, 2025. It is approximately 9:48 Eastern Standard Time. And I'd like to talk about a drug of choice for many people right now. I say many people who have been addicted to opiates, who have had an opiate use disorder and decided to use one particular drug that has been easily attainable at many gas stations, head shops, that has become one of the most ubiquitous opiate-like substances that you can find, and that's Kratom. Not everyone who tried Kratom were opiate abusers, but in my case I was. I was an opiate abuser. I was addicted to different synthetic type opioids like tramadol, Ultram, which was like kind of the baby drug of the time. Fentanyl, which is the much higher echelon of the drugs, and things like oxycodone in the early 2000s, and anything I can get my hands on. Hydrocodone cough medicine. If I could get a prescription of that, I was on it, and I would take it, and I would get the refill, and I would take it. I have many memories of filling those prescriptions, anything I could get. And I'm older. I'm in my early 50s, and I do remember those times when it was very, very easy to attain those drugs. It was very easy to attain cough medicine, oxycodone. All you had to do is complain a little bit about having pain. You have a bad headache, and it could be prescribed if you find the right doctor. You shop around enough, you can find the right doctor to prescribe you some pretty strong pain medication. Later on, tramadol became my drug of choice because it was the easiest thing I could find at the time. In the mid 2000s, I could I can get it online. It wasn't scheduled. All you had to do was get a prescription. You could get online, you could fill out a questionnaire, and you could just have it sent to your house, 180 pills for $100. As time went on, I didn't stay on these pills for long. I mean, you can't sustain it. And I stayed off for a while and went straight to alcohol, which I had a problem with anyway, and just increased the alcohol use. Then in 2015, I found Kratom. It was introduced to me by my father, who I don't blame. I do not blame him for this. He's gone through a lot of surgeries and pain. He introduced it to me, and he said, "Hey, try take a few of these capsules. It's a red vein. It's called red vein Kratom." And I thought, okay, cool. I'll try it. I didn't think anything was going to happen. I didn't think it was any big deal, and I tried a couple of them, and I didn't really feel anything. I was working at a grocery store, and I went to work, and I thought, well, this is nothing like tramadol or Ultram. And I didn't think anything of it. Well, it was several months before I decided to buy a bag of powder. and he was taking the powder, the leaf powder, and he let me try a little bit. And I thought, well, I'll just try some. I'll go ahead and buy a bag of it. I took a dose, and I took a bigger dose, and then finally I took about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 grams, which, you know, as a starter dose, 4 or 5 grams is a pretty good size dose for someone who's not tolerant to it. And I felt awesome. I went to work that morning, and I was putting out groceries, man. I was working in dry grocery at the time. And again, this is a long time ago. I don't do this stuff anymore. I don't work there anymore. If you're a grocery worker, I have a lot of respect for you. It's a hard job. It really is a very hard job. You have to deal with people. You have to deal with a lot of BS. But I felt great. And I thought, this feels a lot like taking a Percocet, a couple of Percocets, or maybe even a low dose of oxycodone. I thought, this is awesome, man. I love this stuff. And so I thought, well, I'm not going to sustain this. I'm not going to keep taking this all the time. I'll take it every once in a while. I'll just use it as kind of a maintenance if I feel a little down, or I feel a little bit depressed, or I feel a little bit, I just need a little energy. Well, the problem is that I feel depressed all the time. Or I did. And when you feel down and you feel depressed a lot, you need something to keep you going. And you want something to give you some kind of high, some kind of to give you that, put you in some motion to where you can at least get through your workday. That you can get through your relationships, that you can get through your day, that you can deal with people. You know, especially when you're working retail. And so I took it every day. I took it in the morning, and then I took it to work with me. I didn't do that at first. At first, I wasn't taking it to work at all. I would just take it in the morning, and I'd get through my day, and then I'd go home, and I'd take another dose. It got to the point to where I was taking it in the morning, I was taking it to work, and I was taking more and more and more, to the point to where I was taking it in larger and larger doses, and the tolerance just builds and builds and builds. And the first time I tried to stop was in 2017. It was a year later, I think, somewhere around a year later. And I started dating my wife now, but I was dating her at the time. We went on a cruise. She got a free cruise with her job that she was working, and she got a paid for cruise. It was awesome. You know, we just had to pay for, you know, drinks and stuff like that. And by the last day of the cruise, I ran out of Kratom. And don't ask me how I got this stuff on the ship. This was right around the time in 2016, when they were going to ban it completely. They were going to just completely, you know, the FDA had talks of actually banning the substance. And that all fell through, and I won't go into that whole story. By the way, I was one of those people that signed the petition to not get it banned. By the last day of the cruise, I'd run out. And I went to bed that night. My wife and I were laying there, and I had the worst restless legs I've ever had in my entire life. It was awful. And I thought, what's going on here? What is this? Why am I feeling this way? And I felt like I was just coming out of my skin. And I thought, well, maybe it's just a bad side effect or something of the regular medications I was taking. I was taking antidepressants. Well, I'll go into that later. I digress. But the restless legs were really bad, and I'd never really felt anything like that. Then it hit me. When I got off of fentanyl and oxycodone and tramadol, I had that same feeling. I had the same feeling of restlessness and I wasn't able to sleep. There was no, it was just, you feel like you're just going crazy. You're moving and you're moving and your legs are moving and you just feel absolutely insanely, I don't know, you feel like you're going insane. Let's just not mince words here. You feel like you're going insane. And that's when I realized that I got myself into a really deep pit here. Sorry. And it's been a ride. After that, in 2017, I remember we were on our way back home. We got in the car, and I told my girlfriend at the time, I gotta go make a stop. I've got to go. On our way home, I got to find a head shop. And she's like, okay, well, what's going on? Are you... And I was like, well... And I told her, there's this stuff called Kratom I'm taking, and it really helps me with my pain. And it helps me with my depression. And she didn't know what... She had no idea what this stuff was. She didn't know. And she said, well, you seem really anxious. You seem really on edge. And I'm driving. I'm on the interstate, and I'm driving, and and she's like, you're not really talking much. You just seem really on edge. And I said, I'm okay. I said, I'm all right. I'm good. I found a head shop, and we stopped, and I bought a big bag of Kratom. It wasn't a kilo. It was I think it was like half a kilo of Kratom. It was pretty expensive. It's it's not cheap to buy it in bulk. I mean, you actually save money when you buy it in bulk, but I just bought a big bag because I knew I was gonna have to have it. And I remember taking a big dose of it. I took the bag and I put it up to my mouth, and I swallowed a couple of big gulps of water and just washed all that powder down. And she looks at me and she's like, is that some kind of like supplement, or is it like a vitamin or something? She didn't know what it was. And of course I was, I played it off. And I said, like I said, it's okay. It's just something that kind of helps me, with my depression and my anxiety and everything. And I had it all in my teeth. And she looked at me and she goes, drink some more water. You got like green, your teeth are green. You got it all up in your teeth. And within 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes, I settled down. I felt better. I felt a lot better. I just felt I could breathe again. And the rest of the way home from the cruise, I felt like I could drive, I could breathe again, I could survive. I would be okay. That was the time, that was the day that I knew that I was heavily addicted. And one of the thoughts in my mind was, this is just a powder, a bag of powder I can find at a head shop. I'm not going to an alleyway somewhere in some shady area of town and buying some highly illicit drug. I'm not hiding this stuff from the police or anything. This is at least in my state, this is a legal drug that I can buy in my state, that I'm able to buy. And at that time, back in 8 or 9 years ago, no one knew what it was. Very few people knew what it was. No one seemed to know. I felt very alone. And years kept passing, and years kept going by, and I kept feeling like I need to take this stuff. I need to take this stuff to sustain my being, my emotions, my everything. I need this drug to keep going. This seemingly benign powder, green powder, that I could just take every day. And when that powder ran out, it turned against me. It turned into an absolute nightmare when I couldn't get that drug, or when I would run out of money, or I was out somewhere and I just didn't have Kratom with me to take. Or I'd be at work and I forgot to take the, a cap, a container of Kratom with me, and I've got to get through my 10 hours. And the only thing I have to look forward to is getting the F home and getting another dose of Kratom so I can feel normal again. And that's what it's like. That's long-term Kratom addiction. That's what it feels like. You feel very alone. Until recently. And then I started watching videos online, and I started seeing a lot of YouTube videos of people talking about their addiction to Kratom, how they have had to deal and go throughout their daily lives trying to sustain this addiction. Until I started seeing programs like, just blog posts and Reddit posts and all kinds of sources where people are dealing with this kind of addiction. It's not a benign substance, and yes, there are people who are able to control it and use it responsibly. And for that, I applaud you. If you're able to do that and you're able to take Kratom responsibly, it's controlling your pain. Please understand that I don't have a problem with that at all. I have no problem with that. Do I want Kratom to be scheduled and illegal and non-attainable? Absolutely not. But if you're an addict and you've had some serious problems with addiction, then Kratom is an enemy. It's a nemesis, and it will consume you. I'm going to end this video saying that I do not, I can't promote or tell you what to do as far as addiction goes. I always suggest that people go see a doctor and go see a medical professional. But if you have a problem with any kind of substance, any kind of I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of emotional. I apologize. If you're having a problem, I urge you to seek support, seek help. Don't let this consume you. And that's why I'm here. This is exactly why I'm here. This is why I make a video and put my face right here, because I can't do this by myself. You can't do this by yourself. If you're trying to do this alone and you're not telling anyone, and you're just sitting alone in a room, kind of like I am right now, you know, but if you're sitting in a room alone and you're not reaching out, and you're not getting support, you're not finding people to talk to who are understanding. That's the key. Who are understanding and can understand what you're going through. You can't do this by yourself. You've got to find support. I want to thank you for listening to my rambling, my everything that I've talked about here. I have no idea how this video turned out. This is not scripted. None of this is scripted. I haven't written anything down. I'm not reading from cue cards. I'm not, nothing like that. There's more to come. I promise you that. I did promise in my last video I would talk about my whole taper process. I meant to do that here. I didn't get to it. I will do that. I will tell you how that's going. So, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, a wonderful night, wherever you may be. I'm signing off. Thank you.